So today I'm going to talk about the art of stalking as applied by the Nagual Carlos Castaneda, the sorcerer Carlos Castaneda, as taught to him by Don Juan and the lineage of new seers and old seers before them. So I probably won't cover all the aspects of stalking because I'm ad-libbing it, but through my 20 years of reading and practicing it and watching other people do it that were involved in the past, I feel qualified to comment on what I know about it. Okay, so stalking is deliberate behaviour. Okay, it's unusual behaviour. It might not seem unusual to others because most of the time, if you're stalking well, other people won't be aware of it. At least unless they're aware of stalking, what it is, and who knows about it, who can do it. But it's unusual and deliberate behaviour with a purpose. And that purpose ultimately is to erase one's importance. To erase one's importance in order to free energy. It has a subordinate purpose to that, and its subordinate purpose is to shift or move the assemblage point, and it does so in a gradual fashion, not like power plants, which allow the assemblage point to move very drastically, and suddenly stalking shifts the assemblage point in a gradual manner. And the reason that most people don't know what the art of stalking is, and what is a good or precise definition of it, or what is a description of stalking, is that stalking is very difficult to explain because generally it doesn't take place in ordinary awareness. It takes place in non-ordinary awareness or heightened awareness, and it requires a certain amount of energy to do it effectively. The more energy you have in terms of your internal life force, the more you're able to stalk effectively. That is, if you know the techniques. But really, it is, in my later experience, less about techniques and procedures than it is about awareness and perception and being open to the manifestations of the spirit or the ulterior arrangement or ulterior order of the abstract. Now, these are very non-conventional terms. So, but if you think of method acting, now imagine the great actors of the cinematic era. Think of Laurence Olivier. Think of Marlon Brando. Think of great stage actors and performers who are able to assume the role of whatever person, personality, or character they wish to project onto the world or other people. A master stalker is somebody who can project that image almost effortlessly, who knows the ins and outs of that personality, of the behaviour of that personality. And the reason that self-importance is an impediment, the reason that it gets in the way, is not only because it trips us up in life, but it actually trips us up in stalking as well. Because when we stalk, We cannot be exclusively identified with our ordinary person. We've got to be more fluid than that, more abstract, more unconventional, more unorthodox, because we are manufacturing novelty or manifesting novelty, new behavior, which leads to new outcomes, new interpretations. So all of this takes place in non-ordinary awareness. You can start in ordinary awareness, but as the assemblage point, which is the point of perception in all human beings, moves from its customary position to the position of stalking or intent, one becomes aware of a new order of things, and how to act is not under those circumstances is not so much a question of technique and practice, but rather of awareness, a moment to moment awareness of how to act. And you don't always know what the outcome's going to be, because in the sorcerer's understanding, in the sorcerer's world, things are not as clear as that. They're not as clear, they're not as cut and dried as they are in everyday life. So the greater movement of the assemblage point, the greater fluidity of awareness, means that we're able to experience more of the world and more of reality, more of the universe, more of energy. This is a path to knowledge. Stalking is about gaining knowledge, not information, which can be had at the click of a button now, or opening a book, or listening to a lecture or talk, or following instructions, but the knowledge that is acquired through direct experience. By direct experience, I don't mean that one has an intense experience of an ordinary nature. I mean that one experiences the knowing of things directly. And stalking is a way or a process of knowing and understanding things directly through the gradual movement of the assemblage point. And it's about having an acute awareness, catching that fresh wind of alertfulness, being aware of the manifestations of the spirit, of the abstract. It's being in a state of non-certainty about things, of non-conviction, of disbelief, holding your belief in abeyance. Now, I've said before, and I've talked about stalking in different ways. I've used the analogy of the bank robber who checks the location and the routines of the people that work in the building he's going to rob, and doing everything in advance and setting up things in advance so that when it comes to the day of the robbery, he can act impeccably because a plan is already in place. Because it's a battleground for awareness. Reality, and stalking makes you aware of life as war or life as challenge. Now, I'm not talking about the petty, violent wars of ordinary man, but the war of stalking one's importance, the war of stalking one's weaknesses. So ultimately, it's about stalking oneself, the self. And so how do we do that? Well, we become aware of our reactions and responses. We become aware of our habits, our behaviours. we put a mirror up to ourselves and we're looking at ourselves always through that mirror. We're shining a light upon ourselves. See? And when you shine a light upon yourself, you illuminate your acts, your thoughts, your behaviours. They appear as a reflection of your innermost predilections, your inner desires. Okay? And you have to find out what your innermost predilection is. And you do that by scrutinizing yourself. Not simply or merely through ordinary analysis using the mind, using the mirror of awareness. So, Don Juan also talks about the 4 moods of stalking. So what are the 4 moods of stalking? The first one is ruthlessness. So what do we mean? Do we mean by ruthlessness somebody who will be hell-bent on getting what she wants, regardless of the consequences and the suffering she inflicts upon others? Or are we talking about something more sophisticated, something more nuanced? It's the latter. We are not talking about cruelty or maliciousness or bad behaviour. We are not talking about selfish behaviour. Remember that stalking ultimately is about ridding oneself of the rotten self-importance. The negative aspect of self-importance. Not the positive aspect. Not the self-importance that makes you want to act as an authentic individual in the world. Not the self-importance that makes you want to create a legacy. Not the self-importance that gets you up in the morning motivated to cultivate, to increase your awareness, to improve your diet, to improve your relationships, to increase your well-being. But the negative aspects of our ego, our covetousness, our jealousy, our fear, our separation from oneness, from source. A sorcerer is one who connects with the source, with awareness. So, ruthlessness in the context of sorcery means a cool state of indifference or detachment, acting without emotion, without attachment to outcomes, acting almost as if it didn't matter what happened, acting for the hell of it. But when you're ruthless, you're in a state of no pity. Because pity is not present, neither for oneself, yourself, or myself, or anybody else, it becomes ruthless by virtue of the fact that it is neutral. There is no pity for oneself or other people. There is no attachment to outcomes. It could also be characterized or described as a state of coldness. But even the term coldness has characteristics. So it is not quite correct to call it coldness as opposed to hotness. It's not appropriate to describe it as malicious as opposed to benevolent. It's not appropriate to call it good or bad behaviour. It is simply a mood that is effective. to stalk oneself and others. One can do both at the same time. Stalking is, in very elementary terms, about gaining the greatest advantage of any situation. So it is a form of manipulative behaviour or surreptitious or furtive behaviour. It's acting behind the scenes. It's acting clandestinely, secretly, quietly, between thoughts, in an act of awareness not familiar to other people. It's how the magician acts. When you're looking at one trick, pulls out the ball in one hand, you don't see what he's doing with his other hand. So when this hand moves away, he draws out something else with this hand. And you get tricked. It's an illusion that the magician performs through his furtive actions. Okay? So that's ruthlessness. The second route of stalking is patience. This is a very difficult mood to cultivate, and I can testify to it's how hard it is to do, because I've always been impatient, but I do have a sense of waiting that wasn't there 10 or 15 years ago. I've learned to slow down and cultivate things at a steadier pace, to move the assemblage point more gradually, and to approach knowledge in a more seasoned fashion. So I've learned to become more patient because the results become apparent over a long period of time, right? They don't necessarily happen. They don't happen right away or overnight. It's like with anything else. Stalking takes time. It takes practice. It takes diligence. It takes repeatability, like a scientific experiment. It's always being refined, improved, built upon, such as also the case with stalking, right? It improves over time. One must cultivate patience. A better word than patience is forbearance. Forbearance could be defined as the ability to endure hardship and challenge upon challenge, trial upon trial, tribulation upon tribulation. We build our character, our steel armour, our forbearance increases. One of the true virtues of manhood, of the universe. Now, when I say manhood, all this applies to women as well. Everybody's equal in terms of the ego, let's say, the source of awareness. It's not really an ego, but we won't go into that today. The ego is for another video. So, one must cultivate forbearance, which is the second mood of stalking. Forbearance, patience. Okay? Holding back, restraining oneself, waiting for the final outcome. The third mood of stalking is cunning. Now, what do we mean by cunning? Well, we have to be a hunter. We have to be a manipulator of awareness. Now, it doesn't sound very virtuous to manipulate people, but nonetheless, we're not manipulating people in order to get something from them, in order to get money or favours or promotion in the ordinary kind of manipulation. No, That's not classy. That's not sophisticated behaviour, and it only brings um, unsophisticated outcomes. Unskillful behaviour produces unskillful outcomes. It's not that kind of behaviour. It's not easily seen through like that. It's not like a woman seducing a man through her sexuality. It's not the banker or politician cutting deals and blackmailing one another. Although those guys could be said to be employing a form of stalking, but it is the lowest form of stalking because it doesn't really, it's not really about gaining energy and awareness. It's about gaining material things. And that is a form of stalking, but it is the most rudimentary, basic form of stalking, which doesn't require much energy and a lot of stupidity. So, cunning is something that one develops over time with experience. One learns to be a hunter of power. One learns to catch that fresh wind of alertness, become nuanced in the way one thinks, slowing down, becoming receptive to the manifestations of the world in the moment, listening to the affirmations of the world. One becomes cunning by virtue of strategy. One must be a player, a game player in life. On the one hand, you've got the arena, the battleground of life, and on the other, you've got, what was I going to say? Lost my train of thought. But never mind, sorcerers don't care about losing their train of thought. You've got the battleground of life, and death is your advisor behind your left shoulder. Death is always there, advising you while you stalk. It's the ultimate advisor while you stalk, because there it is behind your left shoulder. You don't have to like mythologize it or even symbolize it or think about it. You just have to be aware of something pushing you mercilessly, ruthlessly towards the totality of yourself, towards challenging and defeating death, ordinary death, that is, so that warriors or sorcerers get to keep their awareness. Fly past it. So, cunning, being strategic, employing tactics, strategy, seeing life as a war, seeing everyday situations as battlegrounds for awareness, for knowledge, because when it comes to the sorcerer's explanation, this, like stalking, takes place in non-ordinary reality, takes place in a different state of awareness. That kind of knowledge is what makes a man or a woman a person of knowledge, of knowing things directly. So, it's a question of experience of a non-ordinary nature, non-ordinary reality. So that's what stalking is. Well, I've not finished yet. So I've taken a somersault. I've taken a somersault of thought, or rather, my thoughts somersaulted away from my brain. But the fourth mood is sweetness. Now, sweetness is a very important mood when one is stalking, because sweetness is being nice. Be nice. Be humble. Don't be self-important. Don't act like an ass. Unless being an ass is part of your strategy. Because, as Don Juan said, he who is not afraid to be a fool can fool anyone. So you've got to be aware of all of the aspects of your art, of your act. You're the method actor in this battleground of awareness, where life and death are the two fundamental facts of existence, and all other facts are energetic facts, and those present themselves to you moment to moment. Now, sweetness, like I say, is a very significant thing, you see, because somebody who is sweet is hard to discern. It's hard. Somebody who is sweet and nice, it makes you like them, you see. Being nice, being likable, being non-threatening, being affable, personable, charismatic. People will like you, you see. So when people are drawn to you, people come into your circle, it makes stalking much easier because then people are not keeping their distance from you. You see, people are not separating themselves. They're not judging you. If someone likes you, they don't judge you. You know, they come closer. Have you seen the film The Godfather? Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. That's stalking. That's controlled awareness. That's what stalking is. It's controlled awareness. Awareness being the background for perception, right? The assemblage point, the point where perception is assembled. So, I mean, we don't have to use these terms, but there's no reason really to change them because they describe stalking and the moods of stalking rather well. There are principles as well. There's, I think, seven principles of stalking, which haven't got the books in front of me. I'm doing this off the cuff, so to speak. But I will reveal them. I will reveal them as they're revealed to me. One of the important aspects of stalking is improvising. You know, being improvisational, being free fluid and unpredictable, like the hunter, like the actor who forgets his lines and just ad libs the whole scene and gets an Oscar for his greatest performance. He's just made it up, right? He's got the confidence to make it up as he goes along. Now, it's not about lying and manipulating. It's something entirely of a different order. It's more sophisticated than that. It doesn't bring morality into it. Or rather, morality is seen in terms of energy. Does this act increase my energy or does it decrease my energy? If it increases my energy, it's good. If it decreases it, it's bad. Right? Don't do it. Why would you do something that compromises your energy? To be without energy is to be in danger, to be in peril. Never be without energy. See? So improvisation, being able to be flexible, to modify your behaviour, what you say, how you act, your body language. Be flexible, be unpredictable. Now, another principle of stalking is that you must know what your battleground is. You must understand who the players are, what the dynamics are, the location, the context. You must understand the whole game. You must understand the rules of the game. Otherwise, what's the point of playing? You're going to lose. See? So, now I'm just making this up. I'm just making this up as I go along. In the same way, you know. I'm not thinking about this. I know it through experience, through being it, through doing it, through performing, through being an actor in the world, not a reactor. See? It's all a question of energy. See? So So the principle I was talking about is being aware of the context and the situation. Another aspect of it is not having any buttons to push. Because if you're easily disturbed, if you're easily distracted, aggravated, set off, if you're set in your ways, if you're unconscious about your behaviour, you're not going to get very far. If you have fixed routines and fixed patterns and fixed habits, it's going to be difficult to change it. It's going to be difficult to change yourself. So you have to be more fluid than that. You have to be willing to change your identity, change your clothes, change your name if you have to. Go and if you're a professional, if you're a Wall Street banker, go and be a dustman for a week and learn what it's like to be a bin man. You know, hang out with your buddies and drink pints with them in the bar. Learn their behaviour, learn the ins and outs of it. Not to get anything out of them, but to learn about aspects of yourself that are totally contradictory and paradoxical, you see. Getting away from that. Getting away from your everyday routines, your habits and so forth, you know. Because we so easily become identified. We so easily become attached. And thus our experience day to day becomes more and more familiar, repetitive, artificial. And this is, this is one of the main aspects of science, although it's meant slightly different in that context. It's the aspect of repeatability. That one must be able to repeat an experiment, and if the ball always falls in the same place, and the particles always move in the same way, and the machine always, you know, if something can be demonstrated to happen again and again in the same way, then it's predictable, right? And that's what we call science. But that keeps reality very limited for our experience, because the universe is not that simple. It's not it's not just mechanical. It's not just rational or logical. It's much greater than that. Much, much greater than that, of course. That's why scientists and rationalists have got no idea what stalking is. They just think it's some, well, you know how the media define stalking as definitely surreptitious behaviour, but it's for devious ends, and not good ends at that. Usually involves um, hiding in the bushes and standing outside your girlfriend's window 24 hours a day, something like that. Some creepy Cape Fear situation. So not that kind of stalking. That's going to get you. That's going to get you in trouble with the law. You're going to get you're going to end up in prison if you think that's what stalking is. That is a crass media term. That's not what stalking really is. We are professional stalkers, but we are not professional creeps, and we don't go after people. We just go after ourselves, you know. And we have to employ unusual methods to do so. Our methods are unconventional, unorthodox. They're part of the non-orthodox law. They're method acting without the method. There are other aspects of stalking, but I feel that to go into them here would be to flood your mind with too much information. So that's all I'm going to say for now. I could have paused this video as well, by the way. So thanks for listening, and if you've got any questions, please put them in the comments box and I'll try to answer them. Okay, thank you. Bye.